So you all let me know in the chat if you think this is a good idea or not, but I'm beginning to think that we should start recording our pre-show conversations and those should go out as members only content, because during this conversation we had fun stuff like Ashley serenading us, and then at one point she was also talking about shanking people, so it's just wonderful.
Yep.
It's just like our in the blind pre and post show chats, which are definitely need to be behind a paywall.
Yeah, thinking about Patreon for that one.
Yeah.
So that isn't even probably safe behind YouTube's paywall.
Oh, absolutely not.
Not safe for kids.
Matter of fact, it might not even be safe enough for Patreon. It might not be a subscribe star.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I thought Ashley was she was becoming Ashley Middleton in the pre-show there, just giving us a couple of songs and lots to think about.
Talking about bridges.
Speaking of Middleton, real quick. Yes, I was just gonna say before we get going, I do want to pat myself on the back one more time because I totally called that bridge conversation this morning.
That was good.
We were going to Middleton. There's going to be a conversation about a bridge, and there was a conversation about a bridge.
Yeah, that was good.
That was amazing.
Well,
that was the highlight.
I know. I couldn't believe it. That was great.
I even put it in my calendar. I even put in my calendar. Dan called the bridges.
I was also waiting on somehow he knew the family, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's like a free square on the bingo. Middleton recognizes family member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've known this guy since 1971. It's like he has a whole story, whole family lineage.
Yep.
Remembers when he met him and what he was wearing.
Oh, yeah.
His memories are impeccable.
Yeah. Yes.
Still not as good as Tony Baloney, though. That had me busting up at my desk.
Yeah.
This guy showed me to put a hot dog in the microwave. What?
I'm still trying to figure out where the cheese goes with that.
Around the hot dog.
I know, but then you put it in the microwave.
Yeah,
right.
And then you just get this hot cheese dog.
So it's
yeah,
all
but
melted.
wouldn't the cheese just melt off the dog is kind of my point.
No.
Does it just do you put it on a napkin and it just melts into the napkin? By the way, we're talking about something from Judge Mercer's court if you didn't see that.
Well, you can scrape off the cheese off the napkin and eat it, I guess.
And on the plate is a hot dog wrapped in cheese. And now the cheese gets melty, but then you eat the melty cheese dog.
I don't eat
fork and knife, maybe, or a fork.
I mean, we're in Florida, Austin. Maybe just a fork, probably plastic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably just your hands.
That checks.
maybe a hunting knife.
Yeah. A spear,
Florida boy
something
from
like
that.
Spear.
Florida boy from that same county checks.
Yep.
Great big gun. Yeah, something like that.
Too. Yep.
Just not out of season, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, now that we've already lost control of the show.
Yes. We already went to food. Did not take long.
Nope.
We need to backtrack
Since
from
we're
food.
5 minutes in, let's go ahead and get it started.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
So anywho, Judge.
Austin, sorry, Austin, are you wearing your Jackson County, Florida shirt?
Oh, he is. Yeah.
Sorry. Just you were trying to get us back on
Well
track.
played.
No. Good call. Love it. You can get the shirt that Austin is wearing at courtroomfiles.com.
Yes. I love mine.
Glad
Merch
you like
promotion.
It, Austin. Thank you.
Or get your Ellie merch.
Yes, or Ellie merch. Or that cup that's sitting behind me. Or probably that tumbler that Michael has. Yeah. See, TCF merch everywhere.
Yep. All over.
All right. Now that the advertisements are done, and we're 6 minutes into the show, and a hat.
And the hat.
All right. Never let it be said I don't have a dedicated group of people around me, so thank you. So Judge O'Donnell's court dude last week gets in front of him for sentencing. He talks about how, yeah, he dealt drugs, but he was having a hard time getting work, and doggone it, he had a family to support. So, you know, it was just a little bit of fentanyl and cocaine and whatnot, I guess. But during that sentencing, he also admitted that he doesn't do the stuff, and he certainly doesn't want his family to do the stuff because that stuff's addictive. So we can talk about this guy and his ridiculousness for sure, but also what prompted me with this topic was the whole idea of people doing something because they feel like they have to, or because times are tough or whatever, but the thing that they're doing by definition is harmful to other people. So how do we feel about that, and how should that be treated by the courts and stuff like that? I think that's some of the directions we can go today. But I would start it off. Oh, go ahead.
He's also a repeat offender too. So he's had a criminal history back from 2009. So yeah, he's definitely not using the stuff.
Sure. But I just, the first thing that came to my mind in listening to this guy was the size of the nuts on him to be able to stand there and say, yeah, you know, I did this thing, but I don't want to use it because, you know, that stuff's addictive. It's harmful. And I certainly don't want my kids to use it. And he was like, sounded honest about that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, who the hell do you think you are?
An odd moment of self-awareness. I mean, it was really, it was almost surreal. I guess my thought on it was, it was like, is this satire? Like, what are we watching here? Like, what is going on? But this isn't the first time we've heard this, but you know, and we always go to these examples, right? But it's kind of a big difference between a person that might steal some bread or some ham or, you know, some grocery item and they're like, well, yeah, but I got 2 kids and stuff. And I'm not saying that that's right, but it's more justifiable than, well, yeah, I had to sell all these fentanyl pills to because I needed to pay the electric bill. Like,
yeah,
one of these is not like the other. I mean, there's a
totally
big difference.
Levels.
His whole story was kind of sad too, because it's like, yeah, he was a repeat offender, but it sounds like he had gotten his life back on track and he was working and things were going well, and then he just kind of had this cascade of unfortunate events. You know, he got injured, they fired him before the workman's comp could hit, you know, and then his girlfriend they're on and on and on, that led him back to this path. And that's what really struck me more than just the, you know, hilarious hypocrisy of, well, I'm not going to do that shit. That shit'll kill you. You know, it's like you had everything going for you. And instead of in this moment of things starting to go wrong, reaching out, looking for help, trying to do the right thing, you just fell right back into this pattern. That's the unfortunate part of it all.
Yes.
He previously earned $20 an hour through his prior work as well. He was getting pretty well paid and still chose to deal cocaine and fentanyl. So,
but that was after he lost his job.
Yeah,
that was after he lost the job. So it wasn't like he had a side hustle, you know, pushing. It was after things had gone sideways for him.
Yeah, I guess I wonder, like, maybe you try to apply at McDonald's or you know, go work at Kohl's or something before you just immediately go like where do you go? Well, I put in a job application, but you know, not really working out. You know, could just sell this heroin. I mean, that's always, I mean, that's pretty lucrative. I hear the kids really like that nowadays, so let's go for that. Or this fentanyl stuff or some good old meth. I don't know. I could open my own branch of Joe's here. Why not? I mean, how many of those could there be in Lake County? Oh, lots, but yeah, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it was very strange. The whole thing, like just start to finish, was weird. And he had a very flimsy explanation for everything. Not just the irony of, well, I wouldn't use it and I don't use it. Just, it's like, come on, man. There's a million ways you can get yourself out of these situations. Like, he acknowledges that he has a problem ish, but yeah, it doesn't seem to really want the help necessarily. So I don't know. This was a messy case.
Yeah,
I will be the first to admit that it's not easy out there to always go and grab a traditional kind of job. We're seeing that right now. Yep. Eli works for us here at the bunker, but he wants to go out and get some experience elsewhere too. So he's gone and applied to a bunch of places. It's been crickets.
Yep.
So I see it and I get it, but I struggle with that leading you to this point of, I'm going to go do the illegal thing. I think people need to learn to be more creative. You know, I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. You know, go to your phone and there's 1,000 different apps where you can make money. Go door to door and offer to mow people's lawns. I don't care. There's something. There's always something.
Yep.
But
donate plasma.
And it might not be traditional. It might not be easy. It might not be your dream job. I most certainly isn't going to be your dream job. But you know what? You do what you have to do, and then you start prioritizing where the money's got to go. You know what? You need a place to live. You need food to eat. After that, everybody else can wait.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to take the job, or sometimes it's better to take the job that you don't really want until you can get that job that you do want, because the bills aren't going to stop in that meantime.
Yep.
And more people, a lot of people just don't like doing that, or can't see themselves doing that.
Yeah, definitely. And then the two things he said that kind of raised an eyebrow for me is saying he only sold to a few people, because he was trying to justify his actions of selling drugs. So he said he only sold it to a few people. And he actually lined up when he got out. Like, he had a union job lined up. So that was two things that I took away from that. I don't know how he got a job for, but I mean, wait, he was, so that his probation was revoked. So he lined up. But though his story kept changing as well. He's consistent with the story. I think that's not the mark against him. He kept on filling everything with excuses. And he was he was like, no.
Well, we've never seen people use excuses in court before. So.
Yeah,
never.
A lot. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't wrap my brain around the thought pattern there.
I can.
Okay.
I can. It's you hit a point of
is it
a
an
combination
effort
of lack of education or desperation, or a combination of both. It's like you just kind of fall back on an old habit when you're panicking like that.
Yep.
You know, like when everything's kind of gone tits up and you're hitting a breaking point, like, well, I know this is out there. I'm not saying the logic makes sense, but I can see how you get to that point.
Yeah, and especially if you have a previous criminal record.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm not saying if I lost my job tomorrow that in a month I would be out in the street corner selling, because I have better experience to fall back on, not a criminal record. But I can see how.
Right. But yeah, this guy has a record, and it's hard enough to get a job as it is in the current state of things.
Yeah.
Then you add in no education and a criminal record. I mean, you know, strikes 1 and 2 respectively. I mean, you know, that's just not that's just not conducive. And so, I get where desperation comes in. I'm not unsympathetic to people, just like I talk about here and with the stealing the loaf of bread or the stealing the stuff. I'm not unsympathetic to those people. There's programs and there's help and all that, but not everybody knows about that. Not everybody, we know about it. We're in the know. We're more educated about this sort of thing. Yeah. But I mean, not everybody in society is like that.
Yeah.
Or is in a position where they can go seek that out.
Yeah. And not everybody lives in cities or municipalities that have that.
Yeah.
So I get it, but at the same time, it's like, just like people will break into homes. Now, again, if you broke into homes and stole food, I'd have a hard time really thinking you're some monster. But if you're breaking in and you're like, well, I'm going to steal the TV and I'll go out and, I'll rifle through the jewelry and stuff. I mean, that's a whole different kettle of fish right there.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a hard time believing he couldn't find, because he used to be a machinist. So he worked on machinery, I guess. I don't know if he's like a car mechanist or whatever. But I don't know. Blue collar jobs. I would think they would.
You have to remember he lost his previous blue collar job because of an injury. And I don't know where he was in that injury recovery to where, jobs with your body, while they can be relatively lucrative or at least, well paying, they do take it out of you. And then once you lose that, you're really up a creek. Right.
Yep. And isn't that the again, that's another part of this equation is, you put all these factors together and I get where the situation gets bad. And it's very easy just to sit here and say, well, don't commit crimes. Yeah, that's our life hack around here. Of course,
right.
Sure. But okay, sometimes people screw up badly. They make terrible decisions. Life is just a series of choices. And they make a bad decision and now they're forever kind of sitting behind the 8 ball. So again, it's not a complete lack of sympathy. But it's kind of like the lady we saw in, I think this was Judge Mom's court in DeSanto that was like, I've applied for, 25 jobs a day for 9 months or what, and I didn't hear anything back. Now that, on the other hand, I did not believe.
Michael, I might have a complete lack of sympathy here. I'm not above making bad choices. Done it probably way too many times. We all have, and we pay the price for our bad choices for sure. One thing that I can proudly say I've never done is make a bad choice that put other people at risk.
Sure.
Yep.
That's where I have a hard time with this. I would rather he had been stealing because, well, that's still damage to a person. Stealing their things isn't going to threaten their life generally either. But going out and selling drugs that they could potentially OD on and kill somebody, that's a different ball game. So I have a hard time looking at what he did and having sympathy for that. If he was like, you know what, I can't make ends meet, and he broke into somebody's tool shed out in their backyard and stole all their tools and took them to the pawn shop, I'm not gonna be happy about that either, but I could wrap my brain around that more and go, okay,
absolutely
stupid choice, but doggone it, I kind of understand how that stupid choice got made.
Right.
Yep.
I can't wrap my brain around this stupid choice.
Right.
Because it wasn't a personal one. You know what I mean? If you there's so many choices that we can make that are bad ones, but they're more of a personal end of things, or at least personal in the respect that they're not going to go and harm somebody physically.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where I can't get behind this guy.
And I agree, Dan. Like I don't want to make it sound like, oh, Mike's okay with going out and selling fentanyl or meth if you get down on your luck.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. Stating for the record, we are not okay with what he did, even if we understand how he.
But
I understand.
I guess I'm just trying to. I'm trying to understand, and I'm trying to play a little bit of devil's advocate. And there's a lot of these cases where I can see somebody getting in a bad spot and making a bad choice, like stealing. That the selling the drugs thing is definitely one where I'm not going to go out there and be like, you poor baby. You just need a hug.
Yeah.
No, prison time needs to happen here. Because, and again, this isn't even his first rodeo. He's been down this road more than twice. This is a situation where obviously he is not amenable to community control. He is not amenable to probation and to programs. He is more interested in, as Judge O'Donnell always says, doing whatever he wants to do. Mm-hmm. And so, that's where you have to use the big solution, and that's just send him to prison, which I rarely think that should be the first solution. There's sometimes where that is, but rarely should it be.
Yeah. And this, for me, what gets it is even you have just the regular drug choice, but then the drugs could have been laced. So it could have been the user thinking they're taking their quote unquote normal dosage. That normal dose, if it's laced, could still kill you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
which is, all of this is harming the community, and had enough of it. I know it's had a history since 2009. That's quite it's quite a history there.
Right.
And multiple probation years. If you think about it, why would judge be reasonable with this guy if he already had repeat probation failures and just can't do what he needs to do? I understand he got injured. I understand that he's trying to make ends meet. Other ways you can do that, and he's just not using his head. And what do we hear from courts all the time when people are struggling on probation? To let people know that you're struggling. I feel like he just didn't own. He wanted to be the big guy and handle it on his own, but maybe too much for him. So that's kind of where my thoughts are.
Unfortunately,
again, it starts with one bad choice begets another, and before you know it, now, you can't dig yourself out of a hole by digging deeper. And that's the problem we see so many times in these kinds of cases is someone's like, well, eventually I'll tunnel out the other side, I guess. I mean, maybe that's their theory. I don't know. Well, you're going to dig yourself straight to hell.
You better be fluent in Mandarin.
Yeah.
Because you're going to end up on the other side of the earth by the time you're done.
You're going to go to the hot place. You're going to go to the hot place first.
Yeah.
And a very hot, molten place. And so I don't know. I don't know. There's not a solution to this one. This is one where I don't think we could find a solution, other than, well, just don't commit the crime. Right. But because somebody will inevitably leave that in the comments. I get it. But I don't know is there a program? Is there something else? Was there another way that this guy could have been helped? And I just don't think so. I think everything was used.
The thought that I've been chewing on here is like, okay, let's say we know he ends up back in jail or in prison. But we all know that there's classes in prisons that they can take, and we hear about like things, thinking for a change and all that. Do you think someone that goes in with his mindset of, well, I don't use them and I wouldn't let my kids use them, I was just selling them to make money. Do we think that that is a mindset that can be changed? Do we think he can be rehabilitated, or is this kind of a I'm too smart for it all?
Well, Lindsay,
I don't think so.
That's an
he has
opportunist
so
mindset.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a, I'm going to take advantage of a situation.
Right.
And I don't care how it harms other people. I wouldn't do it. It's a sociopathic kind of mindset. And that's something that is not just going to be fixed by a class in a prison. That's
kind of what I was getting at. Is like, is there something he needs beyond that kind of programming? Should we be talking about, a mental health situation or some kind of sociopathic tendencies? Because I wouldn't go sell drugs because I know how terrible they are for communities and for users.
Yep.
Even if it's a quick $1,000 that could pay off a debt. No,
hard. You know what he needs, Lindsay, and what people like him need, in my humble opinion, they need time travel. Let me ask you this. You said you wouldn't go sell drugs, right?
Right.
But I'm going to go out on a limb and say you had parents that instilled a little bit of values in you that said you shouldn't sell drugs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you talk about him being rehabilitated. And when you use that word, the first thing that came to my mind, not just for him, but for so many that we see, is, was he habilitated to start with? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, was he taught the
skills
that landed him where he is? Yeah.
I am the granddaughter of a state police officer. So, there were standards that my dad was raised to and then standards that we were raised to. I'm going to go out in that same limb and guess our defendant here didn't have kind of that same coaching growing up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that everyone needs to have a state policeman in the family to not make terrible choices, but yeah.
No, but we talk so much about rehabilitating people, but it just dawned on me during this conversation. Did they have the stuff in place to begin with where you could actually have the word rehabilitation make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No.
And I'm beginning to think for a lot of these people, the answer to that is no. So once again, it traces back to family and upbringing and stuff like that. I mean, we see it all the time. We've got, these mamas with 42 different baby daddies and the baby daddies with 57 different baby mamas. I don't know how all that math works, but it seems to. Money being thrown about all over the place for child support and people getting dragged into court because they're not paying that. Yeah. And meanwhile, the kid grows up seeing all of this bullshit.
Yeah.
And learning nothing about goodness.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why when these people grow up, they make their bad choices. So I don't know how we rehab these people. They weren't habbed in the first place.
Yeah. It would be,
I
would think, a learned behavior. So I know you can teach certain things to people. I don't know if it can be taught. This is an experience thing. So I don't know if that type of thing can be taught to people, especially if they've probably already taken certain classes on probation. I think there's nothing left to do for them per se. And I think that's the sticking point. What do you do when you can't do anything else? Do you just throw them in jail, locked away a key? I'm to say then about the next generation of his kids and how they're going to grow up too. He's been in and out of prison already. I know he has a family to support, which might have been some of those reasons why he got involved with this. He said it over and over again, so I want to say it was. But I just hate that the line is just going down even further, because now he's in the same situation and now his kids don't bother to live up to instill those values either.
So I think I might know what to do with them. And I'll be honest, a year ago, if you had asked me about this idea, I would have said there's no way that it could work in the United States. And I still don't know if there's a way that it can work in the United States, but I think we need to figure this shit out and find a way. And that would be to do the prison rehab system that Norway has been testing and using for some time now. Are you guys familiar with what they're doing over there?
Yeah.
They are putting a certain segment of their prisoners, not all of them. These are still like test facilities in a lot of ways. But they are putting these people in these facilities where, yes, they are behind walls, behind razor wire. They're not getting out. But their room is essentially a one-room apartment where they have a refrigerator and a television and a nice bed and an actual shower and a toilet. And they lock their doors. They have keys to their doors. They have community spaces where they make their own meals. They have a store where they go and buy things with the money that they earn, because they go out into other parts of the facility where they work jobs and they learn skills. The prison staff actually sits next to them and plays games and interacts with them and all of this kind of stuff. And make no mistake, they have security in there. If somebody misbehaves, they will get taken down physically and they will lose that privilege. And they have to earn their way into it as well. Mm-hmm. But they're being taught how the world is supposed to work and how to make good choices and how to actually live. And they leave with skill sets and with a skill, because while they're in there, they're learning a trade as well. And what they're interacting in is basically a small city, a small community, where they do all of the same things that you do on the outside. So maybe that is what people like him need, is a few years in a system like that, where it's all stripped down to the basics and it's taught fresh.
Yeah. And it should be noted that Norway generally has far lower prison sentences. Like the terms of their sentences are much shorter than ours for the most part.
I think the most you can get is 21 years, even for murder.
Yep.
But and where I'm not sure how well it will work here is that the advantage that Norway has is that it's a much more singular society. It's a group of people that is raised upon, generally speaking, one set of values, beliefs, way of life, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here, with our glorious melting pot, which everybody, praises diversity, but diversity has its problems too.
Yeah.
And one of the problems is finding unity in how to move forward. There isn't any if we're all coming at it from a different angle. So from that standpoint, that would be very, very hard to make happen here. And that's where it would take a whole lot of figuring stuff out. And then that's, again, where I don't know that it can be done, but I kind of feel like somebody should try it.
In a way, it's
try to figure out
sort of it's way, but not. Someone how to live their life a certain way without them really realizing it, I guess. Because they do it every single day, they do it the same way, type of thing. How to get along, and then over time their mannerisms change. So that's interesting. I haven't really thought about that concept, but I think
the only part that has given me pause here, and that's just specific to our subject, the particular individual we're speaking to, is where he had that happen. Like, he was going to work every day and he was functioning in a society, and then something went wrong. And then he cascaded back downward. So it's almost like there needs to be more resilience training along with some of this habilitation, pre-read, initial, whatever you want to call it, where like, okay, shit's going to hit the fan. Not everyone's life is hunky-dory if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So what are your plans? What is your game plan if something goes wrong? Do you have savings, or did you spend every paycheck on the cool pair of sneakers and the new video game and the this and the that? And yes, I know not everyone does that, but just throwing that out there, for example, were you able to put some money in savings? Do you have a support network? I'm guessing no if you ended up in this situation. So yes, that idea is fantastic. Dan, I'm all for it, but I don't think it's the save all situation that I think would like it to be.
Well, and nothing is a save all situation.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. But I think the advantage if a system like that could be made to work is that they hopefully along with it learn some of the values, because they're in there living in the system for so long. So some of the values should in theory trickle into them about you know, making good choices and how you're not going to do things that harms your community and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So, you know, if you're living, look, good begets good. It really does. So 100%. If you are doing good things over and over and over again, you're likely to do more of it. Conversely, if you're doing bad things over and over and over again, you're likely to keep doing that. So, you know, yeah, he had a job and was making ends meet and whatnot, but the base programming was obviously not there because as soon as things went wrong, what are we doing?
Yeah,
we're potentially screwing up other people's lives.
Yeah.
Also, what he can pay his credit card from Citibank? Screw Citibank.
Oh, seriously. Is that one of the things?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just making up, but you know, that's the argument is I'm trying to make ends meet. That's the other thing that people don't understand too. There are seasons in life where the ends aren't necessarily going to meet. Deal with it. You know, you have to.
I think that's
where you prioritize. You know what? I need a place to live. So I need a roof over my head and I need food. Everybody else can piss off.
I think that's what grandma she said that people that come from wonderful upbringings, when things go bad, they can spiral out of control. And I feel like a wonderful upbringing can mean different things. Maybe it means that if they are a sheltered individual, that might not be a good, wonderful upbringing per se. Because they are, what's the word? They don't have that resilience behind them. They cannot. They don't know how to function with issues and stuff like that. So that's the point that she brought up. Just now.
No, that's fair too.
So there definitely needs to be parental modeling of resilience, and then an education of like, okay, so you got an F on this test, so you don't just drop out of school entirely. You figure out what happens next. Where did you go wrong? How do we move forward? You know,
maybe start tutoring or after school help or something.
Right.
You don't just go yell at the teacher for failing you and move you to another school where you're the best and brightest. Or well, you're just dumb, so how about we just pull you out of school entirely? No, come on.
So it can go the other way too.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
people don't use failure and setbacks as a way to learn.
No,
but
it's not.
It's the best educator of them all.
It is.
It really is. You don't learn anything from winning. you really don't. Your wins, quite honestly, are the result of many losses in a row, because you've made adjustments through your losses to finally get to a point where you win, unless you get lucky.
Trial and error.
You know,
and then her second part, what also stood out, it said she knew another person that had a horrible upbringing and became a wonderful wife and mother, even though she had alcohol. But I think that's what you're saying, Dan, that those trials that person went through, they learned from those trials. They got better as they grew older instead of worse. So yeah, for sure.
I know exactly who she's talking about. And she's right, you know. She did not have a great situation, but that in and of itself was also a lot of lessons to be learned. And I'm not sure exactly how she managed to learn those lessons instead of just falling into the same behaviors.
Yeah.
But she did. So, you know,
I wonder,
and maybe some of that is just how a person is built.
Maybe.
You know, some people are just naturally tougher than others, to be sure. But I do believe some of that toughness can be learned.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. I think some of it can be learned too. I think there is a point though. If they're too far into the thick of it, I believe it's really hard to get yourself out of that mindset and into a more positive functioning one. I've definitely been down a dark mindset before, and so I can speak on this. In my teenage years, it was pretty dark at times. And yeah, I had a pity party, like, woe is me, oh my gosh, like nothing even matters anymore. But it took some realization and tiny steps to pull yourself out of that mental spot that nobody cares about you, that people have to do things for you. You have to do it for yourself. And I think that's what people don't learn through their trials and tribulations, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, if you actually look closely at it, there are very, very few people in your life that like truly have your back and truly care about you and would go to the end of the earth for you. That number is small. You really have to figure things out on your own and kind of pull yourself through things. And make good choices as you're doing it. But so many seem to fail at that.
It takes a lot of self-reflection. I think some people lack self-reflection a lot. Some people are very spontaneous, and I was very spontaneous for a while too. That I thought I could get things immediately. And get things going immediately, get a good job immediately, all that kind of stuff. And it's not how life works. And that's something I had to learn. And I feel like these people have to learn that too. It takes balance and it takes perseverance and patience to get where you want to be in life and where you just so you can do that for yourself and not have to rely on other people to tell you right from wrong as well.
Well, I think in your case, Ashley, a lot of that was your age too. You said you were in your teen years then.
Yeah.
That's the time where you're trying to figure out the path. We're talking about people in their 30s and 40s that are doing this stuff.
I think it still applies to them though, in a way. I think people lose their path through life at any age. I feel like the same process would still be the same. For instance, if I lost my job today, well, not would, but if I lost my job or didn't have anything to fall back on, yeah, it would take some time to rebuild that and get back to functioning again. And I feel like it still applies.
Fair. I would just hope by the time they got into their 30s and 40s that there would be some life lessons there to fall back on. But
hopefully, but maybe not.
That's the goal. But as we've seen time and again, it doesn't always work out that way, right? I mean, yeah.
What was it? Yesterday, I think it was. Judge Prill had like a third or fourth time DUI lady or something like that, and she was like 63. Still not learning.
You know, again, anybody can screw up once, right? But this is where learning from the mistakes, learning from the bad choices, learning from your failures, learning, hey, the stove is hot. Don't put your hand there, dummy. That's where the
learning
should start to come in.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's like, well, I'll drink a little less next time, and then I'll go out and do it. Because, okay, obviously, having 10 beers before I drove was bad. I've got to find just the right amount. I mean, maybe it's 7. Here,
becomes
how about
a negotiation?
Yeah.
Yep.
With yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Internal.
And that's just not the healthy mindset. The mindset should be, don't get behind the wheel if you've been drinking.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know it's easier said than done for me. A, I don't drive, and B, I'm not much of a drinker these days. So, I'm not here throwing shade at people that may have an addiction. And clearly, if you've been at 4 DUIs, we can pretty safely say you either have an addiction or you're just stupid. I mean, there's really no other explanation.
Both.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I feel, again, I do feel bad for those people. I do have sympathy, but the sympathy is limited because you do put people's lives at risk when you do that, and not just your own.
Yep.
And so, this is where, 63 years old and you got 4 DUIs. Yeah. Might be time. I don't know. Maybe we're at 63. Maybe you're a little past the time to learn. Although I don't know. It's never too late to learn, right?
It's never too late to do better.
Yep.
Well,
I'm
self-improvement.
53 and still learning every day.
Sure.
Yeah.
Self-improvement has no age limit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Little things click no matter how old you are. At
And
different times.
And
Well,
it
they
can
should.
take one life event for you to get back on your feet again, for sure. It could be a death of a loved one, for instance, or something like that. And how you cope, it comes with experience. It doesn't come with anything else, unfortunately.
Well, Ashley, how many times have we seen someone use the death of a loved one as their catalyst
All
or
the
their
time.
excuse for, well, I just started drinking and I decided to go out and drive, and then I decided to flee from the cops because, well, my brother died, and when did that happen? In 1997. But okay, so you've been just acting this way for 29 years? Well, yeah, because I just didn't know how to cope. Like, see, at that point, I don't even think that they're being real. Like, I don't think that's the reason. I think that they're just, that's the maybe it's the reason they tell themselves. Maybe they believe that.
The default.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's just total bullshit. It's one of the two. Either way, it's not healthy, and it's not really. It doesn't.
Or
it
maybe
doesn't ring true with anybody.
Maybe they use that excuse, not the death of a loved one for sure, but like these repeat offenders, for instance, maybe that because they made themselves believe that before and it worked out and they got on probation, that they can just do it again, but they haven't truly learned from that experience, though. It's just an excuse to get themselves out of that situation again. Like it worked the first time and the second time and the third time, I bet it will work again. And chances are, in that thought process, that makes sense, but that is just not true.
It'll only be probation for a year this time versus second, third, fourth time. It'll still only be a year.
I think there's a belief out there amongst some of these people that the length of their country music song is in direct opposite proportion to the length of sentence they will get. So the longer they make their country music song about how the dog died and, the wife cheated on them and the people died and they lost their house and all this kind of stuff.
And the truck.
Yeah, the truck broke down.
Yeah, and they had to sell their cow.
Had to sell the cow. The last beer went stale. All of it, if they make it long enough,
my dog.
the judge will shorten it to 30 days suspended.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which you could argue some of those judges maybe, but not all.
Yeah.
Maybe the first or second time for sure, but and when it comes to this guy, I don't. Yeah, it just doesn't work. And
O'Donnell tacks on 5 years for every.
It does.
Yep.
Well, we've
got like
seen
a
him.
tally going.
We've seen him go above the recommended bond amount, and very few judges ever do that. Like, oh, the court's recommending, or the prosecutor's recommending $100,000 bond, and of course, the defense is like, well, could we lower it to $25,000? And he listens to the bullshit story, and he's like, yeah, bond's going to be set at $150,000. It's like, well, that escalated quickly.
Yep.
At the end of 2024, there was approximately 3.6 million adults that were under community supervision. 3.6 million people.
That's like a 1% of the country.
Exactly.
That is staggering to think about. That's like 1 out of 100 people is on probation.
Yes. When I saw that statistic, I'm like, that kind of makes sense, but that is really frightening. But I want to share that statistic because it made me think.
Now, Ashley, is that statistic like there's 3.6 million people on probation, like right now, like currently?
At the end of 2024, that was when the statistic was pulled.
So what I mean is, in that snapshot of time at the end of 2024, at that moment there were that many people, not during the past year, the past 5 years.
No, at that specific moment.
Wow.
It's staggering, for sure.
Yeah,
it kind of shows you where we are as a country, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does. Now,
it puts in perspective what we're dealing with and why the courts are having such a hard time keeping up with all these people.
In fairness, to be a little bit, try to look at it somewhat objectively.
Yeah.
We could look at that number and say, wow, we sure have a lot of nut jobs and criminals and pieces of crap in this country. Or maybe we could also say, there might just be too many damn laws, and not everybody that's on probation is a piece of garbage.
Or needs to be on probation.
Or needs to be.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of them do.
A lot of them do.
Yeah. But I think, and I know Dan agrees. I mean, I think pretty much everybody here does. Yeah. We have too many laws. We need to kind of consolidate these law books down a little bit. And I think in doing so, and still, we can still go after the bad people, but we don't necessarily have to have 5,000 law books. The nation, or the United States, comprises less than 4% of the world's population and has 25% of its prison population. I mean, that's
right.
Yeah. We obviously we're very litigious, and we're also we are a very lawful, in quotes, society.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I would say an enforcement-driven society, but not necessarily a results-driven society, because our repeat offender rate is so high here.
Yeah.
Well, it's an industry. There's more money to be made by the lawyers and everybody else if they keep coming back.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, who do we elect? Lawmakers.
Yeah.
Those people should not work full time. They should meet for like 1 month during the summer.
Like a board.
The nicest part of summer, too.
Yeah.
So it's not a super lucrative, attractive position, but one you're called to.
No, it's in their best interest to make more laws, especially laws that support those who are backing them. But once they leave lawmaking and go back into the real world, if there's more laws for them to deal with as lawyers, then they're going to make more money. I totally agree, Michael. There's too much of it. and yeah, it most definitely adds to that stat of 52 bazillion people being on community control.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't answer this guy's decision to deal drugs because he couldn't pay for his BMW or however the hell it went down. I don't know, but
Well, what I found interesting about this is, and how many times, like, we see this sometimes where, and it's always, well, I don't know, we've all pointed it out at some point, like, we'll be sitting there watching a case and be like, well, I couldn't afford this and I couldn't afford that, and so that's why I had to do it. And then someone like Lindsay or Ashley or myself or somebody will be like, wait a minute, though, you're wearing like a $500 shirt.
There's
like,
that too.
Yep.
You have $1,000 phone. You got the bling. You got so much jewelry. Like you got a friggin' Zales or what? You got Jared just hanging out off of your shirt.
You are more than a friend with Jared. You've got more than a friend in the jewelry business.
The Shane company is just completely like half a jewelry cases. I'm like, well, I don't know. And then covered in tattoos, which aren't cheap. We're talking thousands of dollars of ink. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And again, far be it from me to be, I'm not trying to be too judgy, but, maybe.
A little judgy.
Maybe, well, yeah, maybe a little judgy, but maybe a little less, like if you're struggling, maybe a little less ink and a little more think, maybe a little less jewelry, a little less bling, and maybe go out and, do another thing. There's rhyming.
Maybe they need lessons.
Well, I'll go ahead and be full judgy for you, Michael.
Yeah.
Poverty in this country is a big screen TV, a fridge full of food, a roof over your head, and a Netflix subscription, and an iPhone.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's messed up.
Yeah.
But people will have those things, and then they will claim that they're in poverty.
Right. Meanwhile,
thousands in debt.
All of the starving countries around the world.
I was gonna say, then go to like I don't know, the DRC and see what poverty looks like there.
Rwanda.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Those countries, yeah.
Right.
When they don't even have safe drinking water. Yeah, it's all a perspective thing for sure, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, poverty in the U.S. looks way different than poverty in Somalia, and so I think, and look, I get it. There are people that live on the streets, and I get it. There's some people really do have hard times, and sometimes just stuff sucks, and it's not even necessarily their own fault. Maybe a house burns down, or maybe you get strapped with some medical condition, and there's.
You throw out your back at work and get hooked on pills.
Yeah, I mean it happens. So what I'm saying is what we're doing here is called broadcasting, and I'm painting with a broad brush, and not necessarily fine strokes. This isn't necessarily a Bob Ross painting here. We're not getting out the knife and putting in these extra little lines in there. So that's why I think a lot of this could be prevented is, people maybe just make some somewhat better decisions. And even after they screw up, you can still make better decisions. It's not like, oh, well, I screwed up, so now I might as well just keep screwing up because, there's nothing else I can do. I don't know. And again, I've never been in that position necessarily. I mean, we've all been in some kind of position, but I don't know. It's tough. It's, but yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, when I look at this case, the O'Donnell case, and other similar cases, I don't, especially in this case, I don't know if there's a solve for X for this guy other than I guess it's just prison, and then there's got to be some like actual therapy, like legit,
retraining.
Hardcore psychological treatment that has to be done for that kind of sociopathic behavior. Like, well, be damned with society, just so long as I can. Yeah, I'm gonna get mine, and who cares about everybody else?
Yeah.
Well, that is something that I guess we can leave it with this. That is something that people like our friend from Judge O'Donnell's court have in common with some of the top CEOs of the country.
Well,
unfortunately, yeah, you're not wrong. Oh, there's a downer note to end on.
Yeah.
There's the criminals at the one end, the criminals at the other.
You just saw it was all hope.
And then us in the
middle. The light goes out.
Lindsay.
You either go one way or the other, or in the middle. One way or no. Never mind.
Ashley's trying so hard to find the bright spot. I'm just like, shit.
She's got the magnifying glass out. Ashley is going. She's even trying to quote Blondie for us to really try.
30s, 40.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's that time, my friends. Any final thoughts on tonight's discussion? Austin, you got anything?
Just because you've done one wrong or you don't get the job you want doesn't mean that you should immediately turn to something that can harm others.
Fair. Ashley?
This case forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that hardship and accountability can coexist. So Barber who is the guy, Barber may genuinely want to change, but the court must decide whether his past choices outweighs his present promises. So we'll see how it plays out.
Lindsay?
I think it's important to remember to do the next right thing and not the next easiest thing or next best thing. Because you can have everything going right for you, but what happens the second something goes wrong? And the answer to that shouldn't be, well, I'm going to start selling pills on the corner because I'm going to get mine, but my kids aren't going to use them.
Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing a Danism. Do the next right thing.
I've learned a few things over the last 13 months, y'all.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Michael?
This reminds me of a song that Chicago did. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, 25 or 6 to 4.
Nice.
No, I don't. Again, I guess do the next right thing is the way to do it. I mean, and maybe just think about not just the next right thing, but kind of look a little further down the road, the next right things. Just because you fell off the path doesn't mean you can't get back on it.
Baby steps.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Michael. I guess I would leave it with this. It's not that you fall, it's how you get up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you get up into the kind of chaos of drug dealing and breaking laws and all that kind of stuff, if you don't fall down on your own, somebody's going to knock you down, handcuff you, and throw you in jail.
Yep.
So I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm just one guy.
If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time.
Yeah.
On that note, speaking of time, we will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific for the morning show. We'll be back here for Sidebar on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Friends, fun as always. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.